Hey everyone, I'm Lyle Burks with the Viking Speaks. This is the 48 Laws of Power. Hey everyone, I'm Lyle Burks with the Viking Speaks. Welcome back to day 63 of the 90-day video challenge. Today we have Law 21 of the 48 Laws of Power. Play a sucker to catch a sucker. Seem dumber than your mark. No one likes feeling stupider than the next person. The trick, then, is to make your victims feel smart. And not just smart, but smarter than you. Once convinced of this, they will never suspect that you have ulterior motives. So, you may have heard of the old story about the gold rush in California. I believe it was the 1840s, if I'm not mistaken. Well, you might not have heard about the story of the diamond mine, the precious gem mine out in Wyoming in the 1870s. There was a U.S. financier by the name of Asbury Harpending. He was in London and hanging around somebody that in modern media today you probably heard the name, Rothschild. One of the richest men in the world even back then. And he got word of a diamond mine. Now initially he took this to be a joke and thought there's no way this is real. But Rothschild actually got in his ear and like, look dude, America's a pretty big country and they've brought us some pretty unexpected and amazing things since their founding. You might want to pay a little more attention to this and see if it's actually real. So Harpending decided, you know what? Dude's got a lot of money, maybe he knows what he's talking about. Got on the ship to America and went and checked out the mine. After running around in the wilderness with the two folks who found it, Philip Arnold and John Slack, they eventually arrived at the mine, and he watched as Arnold and Slack dug up diamonds in heaps with their own hands. That one snuck up on me. Either way, after seeing this, convinced that this was the real deal, they took the diamonds back, and they had them valued at over $1.5 million in diamonds they just brought up. Well, to be sure, they wanted to make certain that they had another mining expert check it out, just to verify things were good. Well, Arnold and Slack weren't too terribly fond of this idea. They had already had one of their own mining experts go out and verify and said, yeah, it's the real deal. And they were going to walk away from the deal with Harpending, who was originally, skeptical, but he was already, at this point, willing to try and put together some sort of a deal. So, in an effort to keep them on board, what he did was he gave them $100,000 and then he put another $300,000 in an escrow to give them that kind of warm and fuzzy. Like, look, no, I'm serious about this. Don't walk away. Don't do this. Let me bring in my own person to have them come out and take a look at it. So they visited New York and they talked to a few more of the wealthier personnel in the country. And after coming up with a conglomerate, they decided, okay, fine. Why don't we do this? We need to go back to San Francisco and take care of a few things. And when we're done there, we'll meet you back in Wyoming. Bring your guy, we'll take him to the mine, let him do his thing. So Harpending and the rest of the financiers agreed. About a month later, they go out there and they do that. They bring their new expert, which I believe they mentioned his name. Lewis Janet. Yeah. One of the foremost mine experts in the country at the time, and who was a born skeptic. He knew for sure that this was a hoax. There's no way it could be possible. So either way, they get him out to the mine, and he starts digging, and lo and behold, this guy finds not only diamonds, but rubies, pearls, emeralds. Not pearls, sorry, that's oceanic. But you know what I mean. All these other precious gems. He finds incredible amounts. And he's just blown away. And he digs in all various different areas and everything, and just one shovelful after the other, he finds diamonds, emeralds, rubies, sapphires. And he's just amazed. And he's convinced that this is the real deal. So, he takes his report back to Harpenders and the remaining financiers. So guys, this is, in my professional opinion, this is probably one of the most lucrative, if not the most lucrative mine in all history. And you could produce between 1 to 2 million in diamonds alone out of this mine every 30 days. Well, sounds like a pretty good deal. So, the financiers, what they ended up doing is they came up with a syndicate. And they grouped together $10 million worth of money where they were going to purchase equipment, buy manpower, do the whole main thing, and put out an expedition to go ahead and begin excavation on this mine. But they also thought, man, we're going to be slick. And we're going to get these guys out because we don't want them to have any part of this mine. They found it, but it's ours now. They gave to us. So these wealthy personnel, they brought the brothers, Slack and Arnold in. And what they ended up doing was they convinced them that it would be in the best interest of Arnold and Slack to sell their rights to the mine to the financiers, because in the end, if they maintained and they stayed on board with the mine, what would end up happening in the later days of the mine's success is the wealthy would end up pushing them out and they'd walk away with nothing. So rather than walk away with nothing, why not walk away with a total of $700,000 from each of these individuals? That's a pretty substantial amount back in that time. They're talking the 1870s. Well, after a little hemming and hawing, these boys finally agreed and signed over the rights. And they were on their merry way. Financiers bought the manpower, bought the equipment, got the expedition underway within the month. And they learned the hard truth that they had just been had by one of the best cons of all time. Philip Arnold and John Slack were crafty, foxes in the hen house. And what they did was they made these financiers believe that they were quite a bit dumber than them, and allowed them to go out there and do the heavy lifting. And once they saw that the fish had taken the bait, they reeled them in. And sure enough, they walked away millionaires. Except for the rest of their life. And these fellas, the financiers who thought they were going to swindle these boys out of a deal, well, they made the mistake of underestimating their opponent. Now, there is a reversal to this. There is a time when it is actually good to, if you are the more intelligent in the room, boast that. Take for instance, there was, I believe we talked about this guy before. Was it John Devine? Yeah, Joseph Devine, excuse me. The art dealer, one of the greatest of his time. He had recently sold a Dieu painting, which was a big French painting back in the day. And he was holding a gallery displaying this art before it went to its new owner. And he had a little over 24 various art connoisseurs or dealers who attended. And he had one particular French critic who came up and who was extremely knowledgeable and confident in this type of art painting. Now, Devine knew that there were dozens, maybe more, duplicates being made of these type of paintings. But he cared less about that and the quality of the painting and more about the sale of the painting and selling it as the authentic piece that he had brokered. So when the French critic came up and said, there's something off. There's something that's not quite right about this painting. Devine laughed and said, how very amusing. Do you realize, young man, that at least 20 other art experts here and in Europe have been taken into and have said that the painting isn't genuine? And now you've made the same mistake. His confident air and tone, his authority, intimidated the Frenchman, who immediately apologized for his mistake. So whether the painting was fake or not, it didn't matter. Because by making him feel as if he had made the mistake in suggesting that it might not be real, made him look like a fool. So rather than the Frenchman standing his ground and saying, no, I know what I know. This isn't a real deal. Remember going back to the Viking code, stand your ground? If the Frenchman had stood his ground, maybe we would have found out that that was in fact a fake painting. Or maybe it was real, we don't know. But what we do know is that Devine maintained his reputation. He guarded it with his life. So, good one today. Hope you enjoyed the stories. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Sorry for the yawning. Much love, y'all. Bye for now.